Alright, so this is part 2. I'm going to be covering alignment of images. It's a very important step of the process. So as I mentioned in the previous video, I had a number of images that had a completely different orientation. These were images that were east orientation, and then they flipped to a west orientation. Anyhow, what I did was I copied over all of the images that I want to wind up using. In other words, 40 out of the 60 images, actually more specifically 39 out of the 60 images, I copied them into a folder called R1. Okay, so this is a directory that is populated with all of the images that I know I want to use. Okay, so anyone who uses this software, when you take a set of data, you've acquired images, you've done an inspection on them, and you've determined which ones you want to wind up using. My process, at least, I like to create a separate directory that has the known good images. So that is what I call R1. Now, they've not been aligned yet. That would be R2, and they've not yet been normalized yet. That would be R3. So we're currently at the R1 directory. So we just have our known good images in this directory. So I like to use a program called Registrar to do the alignment. There is a built-in alignment feature in Tycho. However, it is only really usable if the images only require basic shifting in order to achieve alignment. In other words, Registrar is a program in its own that can handle shifting, rotating, any kind of stretching, perhaps, if you will, of the images to achieve alignment. So it's a very good program. And unfortunately, it's not free, but it is the best tool out there that I'm aware of for alignment. That's why I like to use it. Okay, so as you can see, I have my R1 directory. So I'm going to choose the first image that was acquired. So I make sure to, I like to sort by date modified, because that will sort, generally it will sort by the order in which the images were taken. So again, I want the first image that was acquired. In other words, the date observation, the date obs keyword in the fits header of the image is the earliest date. So again, in this case it would be number 22 here, because again, recall that I had to remove the first set of images as they had a completely different orientation. And so anyway, so I'm going to choose this as my reference image, so number 22 here, and I click open. And Registrar loves to use the function keys. So the function key F2 brings up the registration control dialog box. So the default options work just fine. So I go ahead and I click register, and that kicks off the alignment process. So as it finishes up that process, the next step is to bring up the crop pad control. So that's another function key F8. So this is a window here that's presented, and these are the options I like to use. So I click all open images in the current image group, and then I choose match, and finally I check this box, close original image after cropping padding. So I click OK, and sometimes it will present a warning that the dimensions match the reference image dimensions or something to that effect. You can safely ignore that warning. So okay, the alignment is finished, so now it's time to save the results. So I go to save all, and I as you saw earlier, I created a R2 directory. So I'm going to save all open images in the current group, and I'm going to save them to the R2 directory. So R2 and R3 are both empty directories at this point, but now I'm going to populate R2 with the aligned images. So I click OK, and it saves them into that directory. However, one quirk about Registrar is that it does not save the first image. So it saves all of the other images over, but not the first one. So, okay, I'm in the R1 directory, and I retrieved, again, it was that number 22. That's my first image, and I copy it over to the R2 directory. So at this point, R2 now contains all of the images, and they have all been aligned. So this is an optional thing to do. I like to clean out all these auxiliary files that Registrar likes to create. So anyhow, so this leaves me now with all of the images again, and they have been aligned. So the next step then, and I'll cover that in the next video, is called normalization, and it's a very important step in the process, just like alignment. So I'll see you then in the next video.